Hello, everybody, and welcome back to She's Got the Dirt. I'm your host, Brianna. And on tonight's episode, we have Ryan Simmons, who is your 2024 Crete Sportsman champion at New Egypt, most popular driver, and finished 6th in the Short Track Super Series with 4 wins and then multiple top 5 and top 10 finishes this season. Ryan, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you,
Good.
Brianna?
All right, so let's start with your very exciting news that you shared last week.
Yeah. So I get the honor to drive for Andy Belmont this year. It's a really cool deal. I've known Andy for a few years now, and his expectations are high. He had Joe Toth in the car, and he won a bunch, and Peyton Talbot last year, another good friend of mine, and he won a bunch. So we're going to scale it back a little bit. He wants to run a little bit of a limited schedule. So we'll probably shoot for anywhere from the 10 to 12 race schedule. So and it'll be mostly all on the road. I'm going to follow the Short Track Super Series South schedule. I'm going to run the Super Dirt Car Series race at New Egypt in his car on March 29th. And then we'll pick and choose a couple of special shows at Bridgeport, like the Hunter Lapper, the couple Sunday shows that they have, and maybe a Georgetown show here or there. But mostly just going to focus on the South Series right now and see how it goes. And, just kind of get acclimated to the car, and hopefully we can have a good year and pick up some wins and pick up where Peyton and Joe have left off.
Yeah, especially with Joe, you got some big shoes to fill there.
Yeah, Joe's a good friend of mine. He's he let me know that the expectations are high, and I can tell. So I'm excited. I do better under pressure, I feel like. So if there's a lot of pressure on me, I know it's time to go. So hopefully we can pick up some wins. It's harder to pick up wins when you're on the road and you're not at places that you usually race at, especially when you're racing in like the South Series Tour where you have the best of the best guys from all different tracks. So it's definitely going to be tough, but hopefully we can still produce results.
Yeah, I'm excited. You guys are going to be traveling a lot, so I was looking at your schedule for this next coming season, and you have 50 races scheduled just with like your family car. So adding to that is you got a lot going on this season.
Yeah. Yeah, but it'll be good. I mean, my dad's a huge help in the shop. I mean, he's pretty much runs the show. Him and Jimmy. Jimmy's like, my dad's right hand man, and they do so much for me, and I really appreciate it. And Bridget's the food lady on race days, and we have a well-oiled machine. I feel like so. It's a lot of racing, but once you get into a rhythm, and hopefully you have a good year, and you're not fixing things every week, then it becomes a lot easier. I guess as easy as it can be running that many races. But we'll see. The main focus is always, it's New Egypt and the Short Track South Series. And, the Georgetown shows, they'll be up to our discretion on whether we want to go or not. It's a long ride, especially with beach traffic in the summer. I really like Georgetown, but, it's tough on a Friday night when you got to wake up Saturday morning and go race New Egypt. So, I think we have 10 races that we're planning on there. We're not going to run for points there. We're going to miss a couple of the shows. That's by choice because of, the New Egypt Dirt Series race the night before is practice, and Georgetown races the night before. Yeah. So, I really want to get dialed in at New Egypt, because that's the main focus. It's a lot of racing, a lot of time, that, your weekends are filled, how it is. And, I always joke with my friends that, if you want to hang out with me from December to February, because I don't have what I call an outside social life in racing really from, March to November really. And then, even then when you're in the wintertime, you have things like that you like to go in the Atlantic City, banquets, motorsports. So it's a whole year process. It's a constant go. And, it's just something that I've always known. So,
yeah. So since you've always known it, how did you get started?
So my grandfather was the promoter at East Windsor Speedway in pretty much the 60s, 70s, 80s, whenever they've been open. They shut down in 2002. So he's been there for a while. He was always on the, the business side of it. And then my dad wanted to give it a shot. He grew up around it, obviously, because my grandfather. And so in, I think, 1980 was his first year he attempted to race. And he ran, a couple of years through the 80s and through the 90s a little bit. And then he stepped back, and then he started being a crew member for, like Ron John Cozon, Eddie Kramer, Jimmy Spence. They were all partnered up. So it's a whole thing. They've been together for a while. I have no idea what life without racing is like. I grew up at the racetrack. I would have a little toy race cars playing in front of the grandstands at East Windsor Speedway. And Saturday night, there's pictures of me with the clay that would fly into the stands. I would build little racetracks, and I think my fourth grade teacher thought maybe I was not the smartest kid because I would bring my toy race cars to class and play with them, because I was just always thinking about racing. Yeah. But I never grew up. I never grew up with the quarter midget stuff. I never did any of that. When we were 14, we bought as a family a very old Olsen frame from the Nixon family, and it was like a 96 Olsen car, just to get me started, just to see if I even liked racing, and I was about 14 or 15 when we got it, and it sat for a year because I wasn't old enough to race. And then John Romano, who was my guy that, really helped me get involved in racing. He helped us find a crate motor, and, we threw it in, and I was able to run a year before that I was, scheduled to race. So I ran crate rookies. I was the only crate car in the rookie division that year because at the time they had open Sportsman.
Oh, okay.
And then I just, so I just kind of stayed there, and, I progressed through. I tried I ran a couple open Sportsman seasons, and, I won a race or two in those. But crates have been mostly my focus just because of the money that it costs to run a modified. It's not like if you start winning, you can all of a sudden start affording a modified, So, I've been racing crates for a while now, and I've been fortunate to really kind of, have a good solid career here, I guess, that I'm trying to build even more. But yeah, that's pretty much how I got my start, was just through my family.
That's cool. I want to see some videos of your dad racing.
Yeah, me too. I think there's one on YouTube from the 80s.
Oh.
Yeah, I got to find it. Somebody shared it a while ago on Facebook, and he said that he was in one of the heat races, so I'll have to try and find that again.
I'll have to post that on the page.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So how many years have you been racing?
Oof, I don't know, honestly. I more than half my life now, I guess. I still, I guess, am theoretically kind of younger, but I started when I was 16 and 30. I just turned 32, so really half my life, I guess.
Yeah.
It's been a while. The first few years I really sucked because I had no experience racing. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the kids that come in now have they learn how to race through quarter midgets, slingshots, whatever they go through. You know what I mean? Since they were age 4 or 5. 16 years old, I hopped in, and then I was just racing against some of the guys that I knew growing up, so I was easily intimidated. But yeah, I had to learn how to get over that. And once I kind of got over that and learned how to race the track instead of, just putting my foot to the floor, that's when I really started to pick up. It sounds crazy, but I think there was a point in time where I would pull up YouTube videos, and I felt like an NFL quarterback. I would watch in-car film and try and listen to throttle inputs and try and see what the track conditions were like. And just kind of mimic it when I would go out there and learn that way instead of just learning by mistake. So that really actually propelled me to really learn. And then, but throughout the things, like I've had good role models. Jeff Geiges helped me when I first started. Obviously, John Romano, Don Buffalino, big help. I've had a fortunate, aspect of having so many people help me just because of, they know my dad or they know my grandpa, but they just want to help me. So yeah, a lot of people have helped me. But yeah, it's been good. And I've been racing for quite a while now, and I've had to just, learn how to go about it and adapt,
Yeah.
So,
but through those years, you've made a name for yourself, you are Ryan. And so it's like the little kids look up to you now. So you're the next mentor for them. So that's kind of cool,
Yeah, I try to, I try to make, anytime you have a younger kid come up to you in the stands or whatever, I think it's really cool. Because I used to be that little kid. I remember bringing a friend of mine when I was in elementary school to the races, and he had never been to a race. And I remember how cool it was to go get a program and have all the drivers sign it, and like, to me, like, that was like going to an NBA game and having everybody sign it. You know what I mean? And so now I have to remember, like, like it's flipped. I'm that guy for them. So like, you want to like make it fun for them, because you don't want to, you don't want to be rude or anything like that. You want to make it fun for them so they keep coming back, because, without fans, there's no racetracks. So, as long as they're having fun, and then they might say to their friend at school, hey, let's, go to the races, and
exactly.
things like that. So I always remember that, like, and my family's been in promoting for a while now. So, like, my grandfather was the promoter at Windsor. So I always think about it from a promoter side and try to think about how you can expand the sport to non-racers. So
yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, the little kids are the next racers, so we have to make sure that they're involved and actually want to go,
Yeah, absolutely.
So that kind of brings us to, I guess we can consider it maybe your best season yet. Would you say that, or most exciting?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say it was definitely my most exciting season. I would say it was probably one of my best ones too, just because of the championship aspect of it. Although, like, like 2022 was a very good year for me. We ended up in second in points in two different, there, and Georgetown third in points, and won a bunch of races. And so that was cool too. But like last year, I think it was cool just for the fact that, like, obviously, when Billy passed away, Billy Lika, he was my cousin, my neighbor. And so when we were going to do a tribute for him, and I didn't know what to do. I was just going to put a 3 and a 1 on my car, and then keep the 0 in the 20. And then my dad was like, well, I probably has a Sportsman car doors in his trailer. So I remember standing there with Jess and Sue, and I was like, do you care if I see if he has his doors in his trailer? So I went back and got them, and they told me I could run them. And, I didn't think anything of it. I think, every race I go to, I'm just, man, I just hope I qualify, because I'm always afraid to suck. But no, so we threw the doors on the car, and I sucked in the heat race that night because I was over driving. I started ninth because of handicapping. You know what I mean? We were the point leader at the time, so I started ninth in the heat race, and it was like lap 6, and I was like 8th, and I was like, I'm not even gonna qualify. And I remember a caution came out, and then I was like, all right, I got to stop screwing around here. And I went 8th to 2nd in the heat race in the 2 laps. I was just driving like a maniac. And then I just carried over in the feature. I have no memory of the feature. I really don't. My last memory is driving onto the track. And then I don't remember anything until we were in tech. And because like that night, what happened was they didn't do victory lane right after the race. They kept us, we went to tech, and then they kept victory lane at the end of the night because there was a chance of rain. So I remember my next memory of after driving off to the track to get ready to go was Pete McDonald interviewing me for Area Auto in tech. And I just had I had a come to moment. I was like, Pete, I can't even tell you really anything because I don't remember what just happened because you're so full of adrenaline, and I completely blacked out. So I rewatched the race, obviously, like a week later, and I was like, man, I genuinely don't remember making any of these passes or nothing. But, that was cool. That was a big moment for us to, go ahead and win it for Billy, and, for my family. That was a big moment. And, it became, a moment of the year at the banquet. And, I think I'll carry that with me forever. I think it'll be a moment that, like, if people think about New Egypt Speedway down the road, they'll remember that moment. It's like one of those, I think, moments that you just associate with New Egypt as a big deal, really, because Billy was a New Egypt guy, and, I'm a New Egypt guy, and, we're pretty, I guess, we're well known within the New Egypt community. And so I think, just you had a one shot at it, and we pulled it off. So that's all I asked.
Yeah, no, that race was probably like the most exciting thing, just because, like, watching you, I mean, you started, I don't remember what you started in that race.
I think 14.
Yeah, I mean, that's ridiculous. And it was just like, I'm sure, you always want to win your race, but like for that night, like with his doors, being able to win that was, I mean, I'm getting chills talking about it now just because it was a great thing,
Yeah. No, it was a very big moment. It was one of the biggest moments of my career for sure. I've won a lot of cool races. I think this one's up there with the year that I ran in '84 in memory of John Romano, and I went out and my first race in the '84, I won the race, and I was like, like it's just like it's things like that. That's like it's like man, it's kind of surreal, and it's just like a weird thing. You know what I mean? Like I had one shot at the 310 and I did it, and then first night out in the '84 I did it, and it's things like that that make you think about like how's that even happen? But no, I mean like it was for sure one of the top moments in my career. I think the championship will always probably hold the my first one will always hold the top spot. I mean that was even though I finished second that night. I've had 7 chances at that thing and finally was able to do it now. So definitely a top 3 moment in my career. For sure. So I'm just happy we were able to do it for my cousin and Sandy and Sue and Karen and, all the Likas. So it was definitely a big deal.
I know the one picture taken from like the top of the stands or like inside the box or whatever, that also made like a top moment of the year kind of thing of like everybody cheering for you once you like got to the flag stand. That's like we were close with Billy too. Obviously not as close as you, but like talking about that stuff is like, it literally gives you chills. Like you can't not like, it's an exciting moment because you're doing it for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's crazy to think about. I when I rewatched the Dirt Track Digest, tape of it, I didn't even know like how many people were sitting there cheering. I think it was pretty cool to like watch everybody stand up and cheer. Like that was crazy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And
nuts.
I just remember like and I just remember at the end in Victory Lane because they did it later. So people like I had so many people come up to me that like I was like literally I was socially drained. You know what I mean? Like I was like I don't know how many more hands I can shake, but that was so cool. I was, appreciative that everybody was cheering for me like that. I obviously none of my competitors, were going to let me win, but, Mike Toth, I remember he gave me, I was watching and Mike Toth gave me a hell of a run there. And I remember like 2 to go, he almost got me, but, there was a hole in 3 and 4 that if you hit it wrong, you were out to lunch. But, I was just, very appreciative that I was, cheered on like that. And I'm sure it's a moment for them and everybody that was there supporting Billy and just, everybody in the stands that they'll remember probably forever, I would hope. And, I think it's pretty cool that we can have moments like that because there's not really many other sports or anything like that. If you're not at the professional level, you don't have memories like that. But, obviously, I wouldn't say we're professionals, but we're doing something that, we love and we're putting on a show for fans. So, we're still technically entertainers if you think about it. So I was able to, we were able to do something cool.
Yeah, no, that was a cool moment. Another cool moment was that picture that Harry Meeks got of you that he won with at the photography contest. I know you had commented. You remember exactly what you were thinking. What were you thinking? If it's allowed to be said.
So in that moment, that was no, we're good. So, so in that moment, it was, I believe it was right before warm-ups. So I was sitting in the car and, it was championship night. So I was not, there's one thing I hate to do at a racetrack and it's talk. And especially on a night like that where I just, I just wanted to get it over with. I remember I wanted to puke the whole night, but, I remember climbing in the car and Harry came over to me and he was like, I'm just going to take some pictures or whatever. And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, he always usually does, he takes good ones of me, takes care of me. But, I was, just so focused on what was going on in the moment. And, at the time, I remember seeing, Dom Buffalino, he was over at his car and he was standing there and he was staring at me. And I'm like, what is this guy doing? And I mean, like, and he's, he's one of my best friends, but I was like, what's this guy doing? And then he walked over, and I thought he was going to make a joke that was going to piss me off, like, but, and so I looked over at him angrily, like, please don't mess with me. I'm like, this is not the time. But no, he came over and, he was just like, just remember, just go be smart. And like, he gave me, a little bit of a pep talk. But in that moment, I thought he was coming over to be like, don't sucker, like, don't do this, So I was just like, I wasn't pissed off at him. Obviously, I wasn't pissed off at him, but like, I was just like, I was kind of giving him a look like, Dom's not the time right now, But yeah, I thought that was funny. I joked around. Yeah, I joked around with him. I mean, obviously, like, I remember we were at a bar one time, and I was like, I showed him the picture because I learned that Harry got nominated for it at the time, and I was like, I was actually kind of pissed at you in this for walking over and destroying my my quietness, But no, he it's all in good fun. But I think it was funny that it looks like I was about to murder someone, but really I was just looking at Dom, telling him, please don't be stupid.
Oh man, yeah, sounds about right. So I know you're like,
yeah, no, it's I think it was cool that Harry won that.
Yeah, I know you're like superstitions, what you don't do on race day. And it's mostly do not bother Ryan Simmons on the day that he is racing. You're like always like sitting in that chair,
Yes.
zoned out, just like, and you could just feel like that you're just thinking like constantly about like what can happen, how you have to go and everything. Is there anything else that you don't do race day?
Yeah. Well, like I said, the number one thing I hate to do is talk on race day. But it's inevitable. You know what I mean? Like, people just come up to you, and I don't understand how they can do it. Like, how, I don't know. I think it stems from when I grew up playing like baseball, basketball, and all that. I just hated the thought of like, was going to strike out in front of everybody. You know what I mean? So that carried over to like my competitiveness. I mean, growing up, my friends, in sports, we were always so competitive with one another that I didn't want to be the worst one in the friend group, so it carried over. But yeah, I have a lot of, I don't know if they're superstitions. I guess today are. I don't really, I don't really think about it like that. But like, yeah, I like to sit in I call it the thinking chair. And I sit and I just think about like, okay, like, what's the track conditions? What changes am I going to have to make? What changes do I might need to make later? Who's in my heat race? What do I got to watch out for? Things like that. And I like to get, like, I have this ability the weird ability to super focus. And when I am super focused, the one thing that I absolutely hate more than life itself is when somebody comes over and breaks that. So, because then I am like discombobulated in my head and I can't stand it. So I'm sure like at times I can come across as probably not the nicest person in the world. They're on race days, and I get it. I fully take responsibility for it. But I mean, me outside of the racetrack, I am not like that, but I view it as a job, you know what I mean? I view it as something that I take very seriously, and that I don't want people to, all I've ever wanted to do my whole life was race. So I don't want somebody to be able to come in and throw me off of that, and then I'm terrible, and then I look bad or something like that, just because I've fallen off my train of thought. And, it's a weird process. It's a weird thought process. And I don't think a lot of people would understand it unless they went through it. I know there are a few people out there like that, just like me. I think I've heard Billy Pass Sr. was kind of like that, like very just super focused, arms crossed when you're walking. There's a lot of people like that, you know what I mean? I am very envious of the people who can just show up and have a ball beforehand, and you know what I mean, and they're all happy and they can talk, and I just can't get to that level. I don't think I ever will. I don't think I ever want to. I'm just very happy that I'm able to super focus like that and be that kind of guy, because it makes me feel like I'm ready. It's kind of like Tom Brady before the Super Bowl. I don't think he was walking around shaking hands, kissing babies, yeah. But I feel that, I just have that ability to just zone in, lock in, or whatever they want to call it. And it makes me feel prepared. So, that's just how I get.
Yeah. Let's see. What else can I talk about here? What do you do when you're not at the track? What do you like to do outside of racing?
Um, I don't know. I'm a big sports fan. Mostly football. So like, come fall time, I am a big USC Trojan football fan. So I like to, watch their games and stuff like that. I'll go to the bars, just to watch some sports. And, I don't really watch NASCAR too much. I do enjoy watching other racing. I don't like to watch my own divisions. I don't like doing that. Like it was a struggle for me to watch Florida this year at All Tech, just because like, I'm like, I know I could be there or like, it's just a weird thing. But, I really like watching super late models race. I really don't know other than that. Like, I don't know. I just kind of wing it outside of racing. I have like, friends that just want to hang out and we'll watch, sports or whatever. And, I don't know, maybe I'll go top golfing every now and then, but, I work full time. So it's like, I have that going on too. So, it's not like, I get home sometimes and sometimes I just like to hang out and, it's really outside of racing. I don't know. I tell people all the time. I've probably told you or probably told Kyle. Outside of racing, if I didn't have racing, I don't know. I just probably be homeless or something. I don't know.
Oh my. Let's see. All right. You can answer this one. You don't have to answer it. Who would you say is your biggest rival?
My biggest rival?
I feel like I know this answer.
Oh, easily.
That was going to be the answer.
Joe Toast's one of my best friends. But man, do I hate racing with that guy because he's so good. And, you know what I mean? But like, honestly, if it wasn't for Joe being as good as he is, I wouldn't be as, I wouldn't have picked up my own process of, how I race and learning things because it takes somebody to be better than you to make you better. And Joe is, admittedly better than me. And, but I'm trying to get on his level. And I think I think it's a big sign of how far we've come from trying to chase Joe from when he ran New Egypt in 2023 and he was dominating, winning 11 races in 7 seconds ahead. And then the last race there, he still beat me, the Legends of the Fall show. He still beat me, but we were right there. I was trying to make a last lap pass for the win on him. And, I came in and I was like, well, how far was third and fourth? And they were like 5 seconds behind us. So I was like, wow, we're there with Joe. You know what I mean? Like we did enough homework to where we kind of, I don't know if we caught up to him or whatever, but just we're able to compete with him. And to me, I'm very aware of who the good guys in the crates are, not just down here, but up New York and Canada. I know I make sure and some of the top guys, Peyton Talbot, Joe Toth, and up in New York, you have, a bunch of, Matt Janzik, he dominates Utica and guys like that. Like I pay attention to and try and see what they're doing. But when down here, obviously Joe's the guy that everybody has been chasing. Definitely my biggest rival, one of my best friends. But, if I have to lose to someone, I guess I'd have to pick Joe as long as I'm second. But if I'm beating someone, I want Joe to be second to me, just so he knows how it feels too. But his family obviously has been very close with us. Sam and Christy and little Lincoln and Ray and our family with Jess and Natty have been, and my dad obviously and Sam. We're all friends. I consider them like family to me. But on the racetrack, I don't know that guy. Just want to beat him.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. All right. Let's see. I got one more, and then we'll get into I have one more question, and then we'll get into the Feelin Fine 69. If you didn't race, didn't race crates, what division would you race?
Super late models for sure.
No bang bangers?
Something about them is insane. I love the engineering aspect.
No bang bangers?
No bang bangers. I'd go right to the super late models. I think those guys are absolutely insane with the amount of technology that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
The engineering side of it is insane. If I had any knowledge like that, I mean, like, the sprint cars are cool and everything, but I just like, they're just not my thing, but the super late model guys, they're so nuts. They run for the most money. And they you have to dedicate 24/7 of your life to be good in those things. And I am, I give those guys so much credit, because, you if you ever took the body off a late model and you looked at them things, it's absolutely insane what they have on those cars. Sprint cars are, I guess, an easier concept and everything. And like, no, not that they're not hard, obviously, to fix and set up and all that, but late model guys are just, I think they're a different breed.
No, I definitely agree with that. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right. So we all know that, like, you promote this. So you're like the Chris Moore of this race. The Feelin Fine 59.
Yeah.
What goes on there besides, like, drinking?
That is by far one of my favorite weekends of the whole year. As you know, so it started when COVID hit, right? And there was nothing going on. Nobody could do anything. We started racing really late in the year. Bunch of everything was shut down. And Sam Lieberman and I were talking. We were like, we should just have like a go-kart race just for fun and like have a bunch of friends like stay at an Airbnb. And there was like 12 of us the first year. It wasn't anything big. But it was probably the most fun I've ever had. And I was like, we need to do this yearly. And like, the first year, the go-kart race, like it wasn't taken as serious. I think we found like an old trophy and, whatever. And Peanut Butter Anthony Razor won it. And I was like, this is great. This is fun. And, we need to do this again. And then the second year rolled around and then the third year. And then now, we just completed year 5 and, it's actually so much work that like I start planning for it in August. Now, I really like to take the race serious now. As serious as it can be for an indoor go-kart race, but like you have a bunch of racers there going for an incredible beer can trophy that we build, you know what I mean? And usually a couple $100, you know what I mean? Like, and that's, our friends joke around and say it's, a top tier indoor race now, you know what I mean? But, I love putting it on. We rent an awesome Airbnb, as you know what I mean? And we have a giant party. Everybody chips in, brings food and, chips into the race any way they can. And, I think it's probably the most fun thing I've ever been able to do with my friends. We have the same people almost every year, and, I look forward to doing it every year. I mean, in August, I'll start looking for the Airbnbs, or at least try to book one just so, we're not, the Poconos can probably get a little crowded in the winter. But yeah, then, then you got to start planning it. And, you do the awards, you got to order like trophies, the checks and everything. And the main trophy is built out of beer cans in which all my friends have to become alcoholics for the night. But, like Friday night, we'll walk over to the bar right there, Shenanigans, and, we will sing karaoke. Kyle became a superstar. So, I don't know. I'm biased, but I think it's probably the most fun party I've ever been to. When you have guys like Dylan Hoke and Dakota and Peanut Butter and you guys and, just Chris and, everybody that comes is just, everybody gets along and that's the best part. Paul put on a show this year for us. So thank you, Paul, for putting on a show. I don't know. I think everybody always remembers the party that year. So I think it's really fun. And, I really like doing it and I'm not kidding you. I'm going to do it every year. Even if I pay a good amount of money for that Airbnb and like, usually I'll take a little bit of a loss, but like I said, I don't care because I just have so much fun with my friends and we don't really get to all come together on a weekend like that a lot because, like some of them race Grandview, some of them race, here and there, wherever you may be. But I mean, motorsports or Atlantic City is probably the next closest thing, but like that, Yeah. You're not having as much fun in a hotel room as you are at an Airbnb that's 3 stories with pool tables rented out with a bunch of alcoholics in them.
Yeah, no, I think this is our 3rd year I think this year was like the most fun that we've had.
Oh, absolutely. This year was very fun. This year and the year with the duck. I think was that your first year, or were you
No,
there
we
for
weren't there that year. We came the year
that? Oh,
after.
you weren't there for that. Yeah, that was the year. That was the second year then. Yeah. I drank a lot of adult sodas that year. I remember Paul Mancini and I got hungry and we were microwaving cookie dough to try and make cookies, and Dylan found a duck outside and brought it in the house, and
yeah.
it was a good time.
We had a lot of exciting things happen this year too, but we won't talk about them.
Oh yes, some of them cannot be talked about, Paul. But no, I mean, usually, I mean, we always have fun. I think actually part of that weekend, my favorite part of that weekend, it's Friday night when we get to go over to the bar, and it's just like, not everybody's there, but I try to tell everybody to come because that's a show, because you don't have to worry about checking out the next day, so you can sleep as much as you want. And then of course, I like Saturday during the day when everybody's just hanging out. Like we're all hungover as hell, and we just we're building the beer can trophy and we're coming up with ideas on the fly. Like I had bought something to the party and Kyle, it had checkered flag ribbons on them, and Kyle's like, we're putting this on the trophy, and so like we're innovative like that, and I think it's cool. I think it's one of the most fun things ever. I wish I could invite everybody, but technically I'm only supposed to have 16 people. I think we had 30 this year at that Airbnb. We had people sleeping on couches, on floors, but it beats, the second year we had it, I think Peanut Butter had to sleep on the hot tub because we didn't have any rooms. So he slept on top of the hot outside in 20-degree weather.
That's
good. It's something that is so much fun, and yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, I know. I think one of the memories that I have from, was it our first year or second year? I think it was our second year, and it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, and apparently Peanut Butter is trying to do cartwheels in his room or something, and like fucking fell.
Yeah, Peanut Butter.
I don't know if you remember that.
I didn't know he was on the third floor that year. I remember him being on the third floor after the fact, but he was up there, and I remember it sounded like a bomb went off, and I was like, what the hell was that? And nobody else moved. So I thought I was insane. And then Saturday morning, I go downstairs, or was it Sunday morning because it was the day after, and I'm like, what the did anybody else hear this? And they're like, yeah, we heard it. Nobody knew what it was until Peanut Butter. He was like the last to wake up. Yep. And he was like, oh, yeah, that was me. And I remember Dylan was like, he was doing cartwheels. I was like, okay. Well, I guess he fell.
Well, that's like this year. It was really cold this year. And he decided to turn the AC on in the house. So we all
yes, every year.
Freezing.
Yes. Every year. I walk down to the basement Saturday morning. It's 20 degrees outside already. And the thermostat is set to 41.
Yeah.
And there's only one person that would ever do that in the world, and it's Peanut Butter. So I knew immediately. So I texted our group chat. And I said, don't come downstairs. It's 40 degrees because of Peanut Butter. And the best part was he slept down there. So he was sleeping in 41-degree weather just so he could fuck with everybody else.
Thank God he didn't notice that there was a thermostat on the third floor. Like, we were all good, but once you hit like the living room, it was freezing.
Yeah, I think that was funny. And and congrats to Peanut Butter for getting engaged to Paige this weekend. I think that was cool. So I'm trying to get Paige to come next year, and that hopefully now that she's done with nursing school, she can come. But yeah, Peanut Butter, he always finds ways to mess with us, and that's the funniest thing in the world because I never know how he's going to do it. He's one of the funniest kids I've ever met. Just because he's just so outgoing, and he has that outlook on life that's like, we're just gonna have fun, and he knows how to have fun. That's why it's just so much fun with everybody there. And shout out to Ethan and Bill this year for cleaning up the whole basement, so we didn't have to do it. I walked downstairs to a pristine basement. Ethan and Bill cleaned it from 5 to 7 a.m. and maybe even longer. That kid's a saint for that. So I love that kid. But so he's invited every year just because of that moment. But he would be invited every year anyway. But no, I think it's funny. I wish we could record the moments of it just so we would have the memory of it. I think maybe this year we'll have people or just kind of like take more videos and stuff. But you get lost in the fun so much that you forget to take
Yeah.
videos and pictures sometimes, and that I would just like to have something like that so you can remember it down the road. But yeah, I mean, we always have the memories that stand out. I mean, every year that I think back on, we have a really funny or cool memory. So like the first year, like DJ Hunt, he fell asleep on the couch snoring like a freight train, and at 6 a.m. and he had to wake up at 7 to go to football practice. So but I think that like that's a funny memory to me, is he had an hour of sleep, and just it's things like that you really like, you remember back on, and you remember that point in time, like being COVID and everything. It was just such a weird time. So that was cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, that weekend is definitely like, I think all of us that like go, we all look forward to it, just because it's like, you're not racing, even though some people take it kind of serious. But we're there to have fun and like hang out with everybody, so it's nice.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like, obviously the racing aspect of it, like, we do it like a kind of like a chili bowl thing where we all pill draw and everything, and it's a serious race. You know what I mean? Like, I want to win it. You know what I mean? Like, I almost did this year, and Peanut Butter got me again for his third one. But I think it's fun. I think it's really cool that like we have our own unique twist on it with a beer can trophy, and and like you still win money. You know what I mean? Like, there is money involved, and everybody there is pretty much a racer. So you're competitive in any, you're competitive. I don't want to lose, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care. I just, I want to qualify, but I also want to win. So I want to see, like, I would like to see more people. Like, I wish I could invite more people, but, I mean, how it is. Like, it just gets, we rent it for 2 hours, and then you're constantly like having the next race, just so you make sure you have time, because the feature is 69 laps, But, I think we have a good group right now, and that's what I look forward to. Like I said, I'm not looking to make money on it. You know what I mean? It's not like it's a fundraiser or anything like that. It's just because I like to drink with my friends, and that's pretty much why we do.
Yeah. No, it's definitely fun. Do you have anything to add? Like, anything you want to talk about that we didn't hit in this episode?
No, I mean, I'm just excited for this year. I mean, we start in less than 3 weeks now at Port Royal. I'll be in Andy's car, so that'd be cool. I think it's kind of funny, like, how it even came about. Like, I remember Saturday night, I'm watching All Tech at my girlfriend's house, and like, I'm rooting for Peyton and Paulie Hartwig on the couch, and I'm like, I would like to see Peyton win, I would like to see Paulie win, but like, I'm sitting there rooting for Peyton actively, and then 2 days later, I get a call from Andy, and he's like, "Do you want to drive?" I'm like, "Whoa, what?" What happened? And it came together very fast. So I think it's like, it was a cool concept, and I mean, like, Port Royal literally was a month away from when he had asked me to drive, and we talked the night before the banquet was when I accepted the deal, and officially, and I couldn't really say anything, but I look forward to this opportunity with Andy, and I have my Elegant Exteriors number 20, and Ryan Stillwell, huge family friend and huge help to me, and Spence's Hot Rod Shop, Mark Bittner, and Tri-County Party Rounds, they're all big helps to me, and I look forward to racing my own car at New Egypt, and hopefully we can defend a championship and pick up a couple more wins along the way. I joke with Joe Toth because he's the all-time win leader, and I think I'm like 4 behind him, so like, I'm trying to get him, now that he's racing Bridgeport. But I mean, so hopefully it's a good year. I'm just glad that like somebody believes in me enough to give me incredible stuff to race for them, and and Andy's always been very friendly to me, and always I have incredible respect for him, because I remember as a kid I would have when he was in NASCAR, I would have his NASCAR diecast that I would play with, and now I'm driving for the guy. How cool is that? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a surreal thing, I mean, like, you don't really think about it like that until you sit back and think about it. So no, I think this year will be good. I'm looking forward to having a really fun year at New Egypt too, with you guys, and the Hunts, and old Buffalino and Paul, and everybody that parks and parties with us after. And I'm looking forward to going on the road and hopefully take the Belmont's Garage 14 to Victory Lane, and then I don't have to hear once I get there, I'm like, I don't have to hear anything from Joe or Peyton that I didn't win in it or anything. But no, I think we'll have a good year. And I'm gonna do my best for him, and so I'm just excited to get the year started. I said the day after the banquet, I said, okay, I can officially stop thinking about 2024, and now it's time to start thinking about 2025 as a driver and focus. And I'm ready to go now. I hate the fact that we're in limbo for another 2 weeks because I'm just ready to race now. So,
all right. Well, thank you for joining the podcast. I appreciate you, giving us all your.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So I think that wraps up for today's podcast with Ryan Simmons. Thank you for listening, and I hope to bring you the dirt real soon.